to the Moments of Joy podcast. My name is Camille Joy, and I'm your host. I'm so excited to have you. This podcast is for families raising children with special needs. And a few things before we get started. I call my listeners MVPs. This podcast was established in 2018, and when we started, it wasn't a podcast for families raising children with special needs, but in 2020, I pivoted to being a podcast that was dedicated to families raising children with special needs. And so the whole time, I've always called my listeners MVPs. So you'll hear me use that term, and that just means you, because you're the most valuable player. You press play on every episode. You share with your friends, and you guys are the reason that we are here. And so over the course of all of this time, I can't even believe from 2018 to 2025, here we are. I haven't launched episodes in a while. Woo, time flies. But I'm back. I'm committed to being a podcast host. And boy, it has been a journey, but I'm so excited. So if this is your first time, again, welcome to the show. MVPs, if you've been rocking with us for years, welcome back. I salute you because you are my most valuable players. Oh, man. Today's episode is going to be titled, What I Wish I Knew. If you are new here, you may not know too much about me. I'm a mom of 5 boys, but my youngest, his name is Mason King, and he was diagnosed with congenital heart disease in my womb. When I was pregnant with him about 22 weeks, we learned that he would have congenital heart disease. They told us in the ultrasound room, me and my husband, that our baby was going to be born with several heart defects. So for me, that's where my journey of being a mom of a child with a special needs started. It was at birth. It wasn't with what you know now of autism. And from that time to his time when he got diagnosed with autism, so much happened that it gave me a heart for families like mine. It wasn't even autism. It was so much happening in between, and so much bad advice and words that were not uplifting and helpful to me, that I formed this defense in my heart for the rest of us, that no, you know, I had to be the one to say, no, that's not the right thing to say. I had to be the one to stick up for parents like us. I've always been that kind of kid. Growing up, I was the kid who always had talks too much on her report card. But look at me now, teacher. I'm using that talking still. But I wish I knew so much beforehand. So Mason, after we got the diagnosis, he went on to have 3 heart surgeries. 3 heart surgeries before he was 18 months. And the last being open heart. He had 1 at 5 days old, 1 at 5 months old, and open heart at 18 months. It was around that time where I really noticed that, wow, I really need to take care of myself. As I felt myself coming out of postpartum depression, which I didn't even realize I was in, because I thought depression really looked like something else. I thought that I wasn't supposed to be connected to my baby. I thought I was supposed to feel depressed, and I really didn't. I didn't feel any of that, but I am extroverted. I am really bubbly, and I didn't feel like that. I love people. I didn't feel like being around people. I wanted to be in my room watching TV, just me and my baby all the time. That was a little different for me. And later on, I realized that I was going through postpartum. So I wish I knew early on what it looked like just a little bit more, so that I could have talked to my doctors about it. I could have probably stayed out of work a little longer. I think I was out about 4 months, but I could have had a little longer to be home, to heal my body and heal my mind, because we had an emergency C-section, and that was kind of traumatic. So you guys are going to see me pull up my notebook probably in a few episodes, because I come prepared. I do prepare for my shows. I take you guys very serious. So talking to you guys very serious. So sometimes I'm going to have a notebook, okay? So one thing that I learned early on was that it was not my job to over explain to people about Mason's diagnosis. Now, nobody really knew outside of our family. We came from like a big church community. And, people just knew he had heart surgeries, but nobody really knew until about that 18-month mark where he had open heart. Then we started getting things like, again, oh, you need a second opinion. Oh, he doesn't need all those heart surgeries. Well, you don't know his diagnosis. You don't know that my son's heart has 5 defects because I never told you what he has. I never told you what, we were going through. And so I felt like I didn't need to over explain. And so even in your receiving of a diagnosis for your family, don't feel the need to over explain, because if I say my child has congenital heart disease, if I say he has a coarctation in his aortic valve, yeah, that's a lot, but it's enough for you to Google, just like I did. If I say he's autistic, it's enough for you to go ahead and get a little education, just like I had to. So while you're dissecting and receiving all of this for yourself, don't feel like you have to take on now over explaining every time you go around family and friends. Relax with that. Don't put that pressure on yourself, because I wish I knew that early on and I didn't. Number 2, I would say the value of community. I wish I knew the value of community right off the bat, but I found out very early on the value of community. I stumbled across this app called Clubhouse. Clubhouse was an audio app that was created, and many of us used it during the pandemic. Well, shortly after I got on the app, I created a club and it exploded, and it was called the Real Moms Club. That's where I found the value of community, because I started having support groups every Monday for families like us. And that's where I learned about all of these resources. I learned about the disability waiver from Agatha. I will never forget her. I love her. Her children were 2 boys. They're autistic, and she talked to me about aquatic therapy. She talked to me about horseback riding therapy, other things that I wouldn't have known on my own. Sometimes your therapist, sometimes your child's teacher, they're not going to know these resources. And your best bet is to get them from another parent like yourself, community. And so that's when I really anchored deep into community and building community and posting content that would draw people like me so that we can form a community. And social media is a huge place, and there's all different pages, but we're all a part of the same community. When you have a child with special needs and you see someone, we are community. And so I had to put the value stamp on that, because if anything I've learned in these 7 years so far, it's been the value of community. That thing is huge, and it's going to be a major benefit to you as you raise your child with special needs. Number 2, I said number 2. I think we're on I don't know. I'm going to stop saying numbers because I don't know what number we're on. I think we're on number 4. Pride goes out the window. Pride goes out the window when it comes to receiving resources for our kids. I learned that lesson as well. As I said, Mason had heart surgery, and I always kept private insurance because I had a good job. I was an executive chef, and I was like, we don't need it. Well, the last time he had heart surgery, I had so many bills, and that's when I realized the value of resources for your child that has special needs. There's all kind of things. There's resources through the state, which that will come through your income, which is Medicaid or SSI. But then there is other resources that will not be the parent's income will not be used. That's the disability waiver that will cover so much depending on what state you are in. Every state has a waiver. And you can find out that information at kidswaiver.org. But when it comes to Mason, I have no pride. Oh, insurance will cover that? Thank you. We need a stroller. We need the car seat. We need the pull-ups. We need the wipes. We will take it all because that is what he requires as a child with special needs. And I don't play that. I don't have pride when it comes to what he needs. Another tip, don't forget about your other children. Whoa. Yeah, sometimes, I'm grateful in the sense that my other children are older. With Mason, my youngest before Mason is 18 years old now. He just turned 18 and Mason's 7. So I have that big age gap. But I often think about those parents who have children who are, a year, 2 years, even 3 years apart. Don't forget your other children. That can be traumatic. And always remember that it's hard for everybody. One day I was coming home from church with my youngest before Mason, Kenneth, and I said, let's go get something to eat. And he was like, oh, yes, that'll be so good. Let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings. This could be our mental health Monday. And I stopped and I was like, oh, I looked at him and I didn't realize that he needed a mental health Monday too. I take mental health Mondays all the time, but he needed a mental health day too. And it dawned on me, wow, this is a lot for all of us, not just me. And when we say this is a lot, don't take this as we are complaining or I'm complaining about my child. No, he is our world. He is so precious. But it is a fact statistically that raising a child with special needs is compared to a combat soldier. That's not just a soldier, but that's somebody out in combat. The stress that we have is to be compared. So I think we should take it quite serious that it is a lot. It can be a lot that goes with it. And it really will all depend on where your child is as well, what their diagnosis is. It may not be a lot for you, but there's a lot of people where it is a lot for. Another thing that I wish I knew earlier on was to not forget about your marriage. If you are married, don't put your marriage on the back burner and keep it last. Oh, we can't go out because we don't have a babysitter. Well, we never tried to find one either because we become so overprotective of our child. Because before you know it, 7 years will pass by and then you've grown apart. So do everything in your power to create little moments, even if at home, little dates when the children are asleep, moments to connect. And don't forsake therapy. Couples therapy, marriage therapy is amazing. And it's an amazing tool to help get you guys back connected because, as I stated, it's a lot. I think when I'm talking to parents who have children with special needs, we can get it right away. But there may be other people watching that don't have children with special needs and they don't get it. And I can't say the words to make you understand, but there is a weight that comes along with it. And sometimes it's difficult. And that's why 87% of marriages end in divorce. So you have to do everything to fight. I was a fighter back in the day. You have to do everything to fight that 87%. So pour back into your house. Hubby's going to be on an episode soon, so we'll go into that more with him as well. And then what we've learned. Another thing I wish I knew was to build my own village. When I moved from Connecticut to Texas, that was 5 years ago, it was just me, my husband, and my kids. We had no family around, and I was very reluctant to connect with people. Obviously, because my child was nonverbal, I can't just have anyone watching him. But don't forget that you can build your own community. If you're estranged from your family, you don't have anyone around, don't just keep that. Sometimes I'm in different support groups and I see parents and they're like, well, I don't have a village. I don't have a support group. I don't have anyone. You can build your own. Pay attention to who's in your child's class. Start speaking to people. Start saying hello. Maybe ask if they would like to have a play date. Does your child have a favorite therapist or an occupational therapist or an RBT, which works with them at ABA? Meet people and speak to people and tell them that you need some help, or just begin to naturally just form relationships through play dates. But don't stay out on this island by yourself. That's too much. You can build your own village, even if it's social media. I have so many friends, and one I'm just reminded that I need to call soon for some advice. But there are so many people that I've met through Clubhouse and social media that I'm close to today. So don't think it's just weirdos out here on social media. No, shoot a DM to someone that you see in the comments who left a comment and, hey, her son sounds like my son, or her daughter sounds like my daughter. Follow them. Get to know them. This is a real village. We are humans. We are real people, right? You always want to have your safeguards up, of course, but I haven't run into any weirdos yet. Not in this. Not in this. All right, the next thing I wish I knew was that there were so many resources to help. That's why I share a lot of resources now. It's because I remember when I didn't know what was available. When Mason was 3, I started to try to think about who had a child with autism. Who could I call? Who could I ask if their child had ever experienced sleepless nights? What could I do? So I started calling people. I remember during the pandemic, one of my friends told me that someone came to her house all day while she worked from home, and they worked with her child, and it was called ABA therapy. I had never heard of that, but she was like, yeah, insurance covers it. And I was like, what? I started looking up ABA therapy around me, and then I was able to enroll Mason in ABA therapy. You know, 211 is a great resource. I've been using 211 since my 23-year-old was born. I looked for daycares when my kids were little. And there are so many resources that 211 could connect you with. So I remember not knowing anything in Houston, and I was like, I'm going to call 211. I know they'll tell me local organizations. So I started calling the organizations to see what do you have available for children with autism? Respite care. Some of them had a wait list of their own for the disability waiver and services for when the children got to be over 18, and the wait list was so long, but I had to put Mason on the wait list at 2, even though he would never receive the benefit until 17. So there's so many things that you can get from 211, so much information, but you're going to have to do work. You know, sometimes when I share resources, parents are like, well, what's the link? How do I do this? You have to do the work. So you have to Google. There's even AI now that knows so much. Use AI. Ask it what you need to ask it. ChatGPT is like my best friend. I helped someone in Florida to request a camera in their child's special education classroom. I asked her what district she was in, and I looked up the law through ChatGPT, and it helped us write a letter. Use these things to your benefit to help you find resources around you. You can ask AI, ChatGPT, or Gemini, what resources are available in Texas as a single mom, or Massachusetts? I'm a single mom. I have a child 3 years old with autism. It will tell you better than Google. There's so much out here, but don't be alone, and don't forget that resources are available. And last but not least, it is prioritize your mental health. And I can't say that enough. During the pandemic, I went through just a really hard time mentally. I was crying a lot. I was just stressed out a lot. I really was sleep deprived, and I was just going through a lot. Mason was having a lot of meltdowns. He was home with me all day. I didn't know what to do. But something snapped, and I was like, wait a minute. I need therapy. or like, I can't live like this. I'm getting ready to have a nervous breakdown. And I started to have therapy every Mondays. And then I started this thing called Mental Health Monday, that not only would I do therapy, everybody in my house was going to know that this was my no day. No, don't ask me anything. I can't bring you to basketball. I can't bring you anywhere. I'm not going to the store. I'm not cooking today, husband. You will cook or you will buy us pizza today. But it was because, to me, my mental health was that serious, and it was not fair. And it is not fair for you either to keep putting yourself last on the list when everybody comes before you. That is literally crazy. And when we're like, oh, I don't have time for myself. Why? You do have time for yourself. Make time for yourself, because it's not fair that you are always burned out. You were always left for the little crumbs you give yourself. Prioritize yourself. So I fill myself with joy. Even if it's, I'm going to eat a donut today, a glazed donut, because those donuts at Shipley's are good. I'm giving myself moments of joy. And I made this connection because one day I went out with my friends on Saturday. I went to have brunch and I had so much fun. And when I came home, Mason had the biggest meltdown. And I was like, we were up all night. And I was like, wow, if I didn't pour into myself today already, I would be losing it and crying myself along with him. And that's when I realized the power of pouring into me. So, no, maybe I'm an entrepreneur, so I can pick my schedule. If you're not, it doesn't matter. You pick one day a week, and that is a lot, because you need it. That is a lot. One day a week where you do something for you. And the something does not have to be a lot of money. Manicures, pedicures, that's an idea, but it doesn't have to be. It can be every Monday, I'm going to make sure I have my favorite cup of coffee in the morning. Every Monday, I love Starbucks. Every Monday, that's going to be my day. Every Monday, I'm going to watch my favorite show. Well, it doesn't even have to be Monday. You can pick your day, but whatever brings you joy, you do it. On the biggest scale or the smallest scale, but whatever can come in consistently. Is it talking to a friend? Is it journaling? Do you like books? You can go to the library and request that the library get your favorite books in from your favorite authors. Whatever you have to do, but you do it to prioritize your mental health. And I'm saying that because a lot of times we don't pay attention to ourselves. We don't pour into ourselves, and we see these stories after stories after stories of parents that gave up. They didn't just give up out of nowhere. They gave up because it was too hard and they did nothing for themselves, along with maybe mental health issues. That's why I'm telling you to prioritize your mental health. Okay? No excuses whatsoever. So these are all the things I wish I knew. Share this episode with a friend of yours or a family member that you might know that is raising a child with special needs. And I will catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.